Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. So today what we're taking a look at with my home theatre is one of the little annoyances that I've actually got with the setup that I've got behind me. So that is the Hisense L9G paired with the LG SN11RG soundbar setup. So I've actually experienced this similar thing to an extent on my LG C9 OLED as well. So the problem isn't related primarily or solely down to the Hisense L9G. However, it has been replicated and almost amplified as well in the setup that I've got behind me, and it's one of those things that annoys me that it can't be resolved. So let's take a look and I'll explain more. Okay, so right now both the Apple TV 4K as well as the Hisense L9G and also the soundbar are all switched off. Now whenever I want to actually use this particular setup, I've got my Apple TV 4K HDR as my sort of main primary streaming device. All of my content is basically played back through that. So what I do is I hit the TV button and it switches it on. For those of you wondering why I have the old remote, I'm probably the only person on the planet that does actually prefer this older remote. That's why I actually swapped these particular remotes with somebody who wanted the new remotes, and I actually gave them the series remotes because I actually prefer the trackpad and everything on the older remotes compared to the newer one. But anyway, that's besides the point. What I'll do is I'll just switch this on and I'll talk you through what's actually going on. So I've hit the button now. You can see that the little LED is flashing, and you can see that the projector has also booted up as well as the soundbar as well. So everything looks like it's working. Soundbar is displaying HDMI 1, but then at that point, because the Hisense L9G is flashing and it's doing its thing, the soundbar then switches to ARC port. Once the flashing light stops at that point and the soundbar still displays ARC, at that point if I hit the TV button, try and get this to focus in, if I hit the TV button, it automatically switches over to HDMI 1. The LG signal is received and then it kind of brings up the normal Apple interface. However, when I swipe, sometimes the audio is working. Let me just go back a bit because it's a bit too close. So sometimes when I swipe across, the audio is working and sometimes it's not. So even after running through all of that little setup where I have to wait for the projector to boot up and then I have to press the button again to get it to switch to HDMI 1, even after all of that, sometimes the audio still doesn't work. The fix occasionally can be as simple as just turning everything off again, turning back on again, and then the audio will be working. Other times what I can do is use the soundbar's remote and actually just power it off completely and have it power back up, and then at that point it's usually fine as well. However, this is one of those kind of things where it shouldn't really be this difficult. Now, the problem I've got with this whole sort of setup and trying to make it as streamlined as possible is the fact that this particular remote can be programmed to control the Apple TV remote, but it can't do all the functions. So when you actually go through the settings, you have to use the up, down, left and right in order to adjust the volume and things like that on the Apple TV setup. So yes, you can get it to control your menus and stuff, but it won't actually work for every single thing. So you can't use the back button on that, for example, to always control what the Apple TV is doing. So I still have to use my Apple TV remote, and I can't do it the other way because the Hisense L9G simply doesn't have any sort of functionality where you can actually learn an additional remote. So if I come into these settings and we come down to system and we have to come down to Bluetooth, when you actually come down to remote pairing, this only indicates how to pair a Hisense remote, not any third-party one. So then if you come out of that and you come down to, I don't know, any other options, equipment management, this is simply, once again, showing this particular remote and it's not showing anything else. So I did also try, and just if we pop down to the HDMI CEC whilst we're at it, as you can see, everything is enabled. So in theory, device power on, device power off, all of these kind of things should work. You can come in here and you can manually switch devices on, but you can't do it the other way where anything that's connected to the projector actually switches the projector off. I did also try getting the newer Siri remote, Apple TV remote, that's why I mentioned it at the start of this video, and using that to actually switch off the Hisense projector. But once again, that doesn't work either because it doesn't actually send the request back. So if you just hold the power button on the Siri remote or the new Apple TV remote, then it simply just switches off the Apple TV and the soundbar. It's always done that, and it always does that basically every time you turn it off, whether you use the sleep mode as I normally do by simply holding the TV button and then you just hit sleep, whether you do it that way or whether you do it using the actual power button on the newer remotes, it's the same thing either way. So because of that, essentially I have to always switch off the projector manually, which, to be completely honest, it's not too much of an issue. I mean, if I just pull up the app, and this is a good indication in terms of just how fast this particular app is. So if we pull up the app and it is connected now, I can simply come to the remote and I can hit power on there, and if I hit power there, as you'll see, it does actually switch off very, very fast. And alongside that, obviously, it switches off any connected devices as well. So in theory, I could just turn everything off directly from the app or just from that one particular remote, but it's just a habit that I'm in, and basically it's just the way I like to switch things off as well. For example, if content is actually playing on the Apple TV and you hit menu and then you basically turn it off that way, when you then go back in, it's not automatically trying to play that same content back, which means that if this does this whole startup process, you end up missing 5-10 seconds of whatever content is actually playing in the background. Similarly, if you've got the volume set really high and you switch it off from there, when it boots back up, it's going to be really high again. And they're just the kind of things I'm used to with my normal way of switching off the Apple TV and doing everything through that. I'm just used to it working a bit better and basically just switching off and being a bit more seamless in terms of the setup. So yeah, that was just a little annoyance that I just needed to get off my chest. Hopefully Hisense see this video. Hopefully they do actually do something about this, and I don't know, maybe a firmware update or something. They enable it so then external devices can actually turn this particular projector off. I'm not holding my breath, to be honest. I don't think they will, but hopefully if enough of you guys share this video and obviously get the likes and the actual view count up, then it might actually have an effect and might make life a little bit easier. Okay, so that's it for this particular video. If you haven't already done so, please do subscribe and also hit the notification bell. The plan is to try and bring a new video home theater related every Monday, so if you hit the notification bell, you'll be notified of any of those videos as and when they drop. And also I'd really appreciate if you give this video a thumbs up as well. That really does help the channel and also the video to just spread and get seen by more people. Until the next one, thanks very much for watching.